GoForThe2.com. We're into week number 9 of the college football season. We have a marquee matchup in the Big Ten this weekend between the 4-2 Penn State Nittany Lions and the undefeated Ohio State Buckeyes. It's an 8 o'clock start. It's on ABC. It's going to be a great matchup if you're a Big Ten fan. Ohio State 19-game winning streak dating back to 2012. We're going to have to see if they can get the victory against a very solid Penn State Nittany Lion team. I'm going to get into some news and notes about that ball game in a couple of seconds. I just want to remind everybody, this coming Friday, blogtalkradio.com, my co-host, former Georgia Bulldog wide receiver Corey Allen, we're going to talk about the key matchup in the SEC East this weekend between the South Carolina Gamecocks and the undefeated Missouri Tigers. This coming Friday, 6:30 p.m., blogtalkradio.com, the NCAA Weekly Blitz Show. Check us out. Let's talk about this matchup between Penn State and Ohio State right now. Penn State 2 weeks ago in Happy Valley with a very dramatic come-from-behind 43-40 victory against Michigan in 4 overtimes. Freshman quarterback Christian Hackenberg, he overcame some key interceptions early in that ball game. He led the Nittany Lions back in regulation. He was 3-of-3 for 79 yards passing. He capped off the last-minute drive with the 1-yard touchdown run to send the game into overtime, and Penn State was able to pick up the victory in Happy Valley. It was a signature win for the freshman quarterback. They do have a week off to prepare for this matchup. That's a positive heading into this matchup. If you're a Penn State fan, it gives the offense an extra week with a freshman quarterback to prepare against a very solid Ohio State Buckeye defense. When you look at Penn State, they're going to want to try and throw the ball on the Ohio State secondary. Penn State's strength is the vertical passing game with Hackenberg and his star wide receiver Allen Robinson. They're averaging 283 passing yards per game. They're averaging 157 rushing yards per game. Penn State's putting up 33.3 points per game on offense. They're giving up 23.7 points per game on defense. So the strength of Penn State is going to be, can they get the ball vertical against a very solid Ohio State secondary? We're going to have to see. When you look at Ohio State, very explosive offense. They're averaging 45 points per game, led by their quarterback Braxton Miller. They're only averaging 218 passing yards per game. But it's the strength of the Ohio State rushing attack that's giving them these victories late in the game. 3 weeks ago against Northwestern, they were able to wear down the Wildcats defense with Carlos Hyde. Last week against Iowa, the same type of ball game. That offensive line and the solid rushing attack that's averaging 279 yards per game rushing wears down these defenses. We're going to have to see how they fare against a very solid Penn State rushing defense that's only giving up 117 rushing yards per game. When you look at Ohio State, they have 2 solid backs, Carlos Hyde and Jordan Hall. They're going to look to get both of those guys involved in the rushing attack. That'll open up the play-action passing game for Braxton Miller and the wide receivers. Can they do it? We're going to have to see. It should be a very interesting matchup. When you look at the defensive side of the ball for Penn State, you do have a cause of concern. They're a -4 in turnover margin. They're going to have to try and create turnovers against Ohio State to give freshman quarterback Christian Hackenberg and the offense a short field. I don't think they can win this ball game without creating turnovers in the horseshoe this weekend. I think Ohio State's too tough if Penn State cannot create a turnover. When you look at Iowa last week, they didn't have enough in them. They didn't have enough depth. They weren't able to create an Ohio State turnover, and in the end, they lost by 10 points. So we'll see how this game fares. It should be a very interesting matchup. Penn State, very solid in pass defense as well. That's going up against a very mediocre passing attack in Ohio State. So we'll see how it plays out. I'll have the prediction for this ball game Thursday morning up on my website, GoForThe2.com. I can't wait to see how it plays out. So stay with us all season long.